Really brief announcement before I get into this. The My Hero Academia Review 109 will be out later this week. It's just been one of those instances where everything goes wrong every single day, out of my control. Sorry about that. Okay, moving on to a topic that I've wanted to discuss for a while, but was waiting for the appropriate time to discuss it. I figure since it is now October, the month of the dead, we can now get into this discussion, and it's really simple discussion. Did Urahara, Grimmjow, and Nell die at the end of the fucking Bleach series? Okay, so I know what you're going to say to this. I know what the immediate first thing is going to be. Okay, those of you that know exactly what I'm referring to. The first thing you're going to jump to is, oh, well, the ending of Bleach was canceled, it was rushed. Kubo obviously didn't have enough time to throw everything in there, so that's the reason we don't know the fate of Urahara and them. See, I'm just going to nip that in the bud right now. I have a problem with that explanation, and that it's, yeah, Kubo was rushed, yeah, it was canceled, but these are very, very prevalent main characters in the series we're dealing with here. Like, you can maybe debate whether or not Nell and Grimmjow were main characters, you know, because they have had very little screen time in the final arc, but Urahara certainly was, right? And you can see in the second to last chapter of Bleach, that chapter was completely focused on the Soul Society 10 years later. We got to see an entire chapter focused on all the different captains, what they've been up to, who the new captains are. We even got to see a brief reference to Ukitake, who passed away. So, even under the... Even when you consider that Bleach was canceled and Bleach was, you know, Kubo had to rush, he didn't have a chance to show things. I can understand he didn't have time to draw shit with everything he wanted. But even under that amount of pressure, you mean to tell me that he couldn't even put in a line or two of dialogue, like confirming whether or not Urahara is alive or dead? A main character of the series, a character that I believe pretty much every popularity poll, and it's been a while since we've done popularities poll, but pretty much consistently in every popularity poll ranked within like the top 10, maybe even the top 5 of characters. I might be wrong in the top 5, but definitely the top 10. You mean to tell me, like, he couldn't even throw in a line of dialogue. He couldn't even throw in, like, Mayuri saying something like, oh, that Urahara, you know, he's off doing this or whatever. He can't even throw a cursory line of dialogue to confirm it one way or the other. You know? That makes me a little concerned here for the fate of Mr. Hattenclogs. All right, so let's go back in time to better days. Let's go back to the fight between Urahara, Yoruichi, and oh yeah, Yoruichi. Is she dead too? I completely forgot about her. But yeah, that and Askin. Right, and I love this fight. You know, if I'm gonna think of the last big moment in Bleach, that if I knew this was gonna be it, because this was it. Like, right after the fight with Askin, we pretty much just get right into... I mean, there was a few chapters with Gerard, but, you know, we all know how that ended. But after that, we skip right to the final battle between Ichigo and Yuha, and it's pretty much that for the rest of the series, right? So if I knew back during, like, oh man, Askin, my favorite Stern Ritter, fighting against Urahara and Yoruichi, and this is so badass... If I knew that was going to be, like, the high point of me, like, that was going to be the last moment that I was going to have that much of an excitement, I would have milked that way more. I would have been like, here's Bleach Chapter 665 review, Part 1, Part 2, Part 3. I'm just going to milk it as much as I can because this is the last moment that I'm going to get this excited. Alright, so in that fight, Askin, my man, the death dealing, goes into his release form, and, you know, he activates his Gift Ball Deluxe, which is this huge poison ball that Urahara is forced to fight in. He goes into his Bankai, Kanen, Barake, Benehime, Adarame, I still don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, and uses its power to, like, mess around with, you know, Askin's structure, you know, enhances his own body, fixes his eyes up, and basically then it leads to Grimmjow, you know, Mortal Kombating death move Askin from behind, crushing his heart. And as Askin's dying on the ground, because you just can't kill him, you know, it's not as easy. You think you could just rip out his heart and crush it and he would die right away? You fucking retarded? No. Even Grimmjow's like, die, you piece of shit. He keeps stabbing him. Askin's like, oh, by the way, at the moment of my death, the Gift Ball Deluxe's power is magnified again and again and again to, like, incredible degrees to the point where I even can't endure it. And sure enough, the ball keeps getting condensed down into power, and Urahara's looking pretty, worse for wear there. He's looking pretty beat up. Him and Grimmjow, they both collapse to the ground. Urahara begins coughing up blood. Now remember, he used the power of his Bankai to fix up his wounds, and his Bankai begins to separate after, Askin's Difficult Deluxe magnifies, and you can see, like, the blood coming out of his stitch patterns. So that made me wonder whether or not after his Bankai goes away, or if he's near death and the Bankai disappears, do the injuries go back to being the same way they were beforehand? We don't know, but they certainly don't look very good. They look like they're about to die here. Even Urahara says, like, okay, Rukia, Ichigo, Kurosaki, Kuchiki, I'll leave it to you guys. And we can assume he passes out. Now, in the next scene, we see, wait, hold on, nope, my girl Nell, right here. We see her, and she's outside the gift ball, and she's just kind of looking in, and she's like, okay, so it came down to one of the last, possibilities that Urahara, invented. Like, he thought about, like, okay, it could be, like, one of these horrible, catastrophic endings to this fight, and he was right. So he left, like, a little opening in there. I guess it's the opening that Grimmjow got in for Nelliel to jump through and save them. And so she has this weird moment, though, this really solemn moment, very rare for Nelliel, where she's like, oh, man, I wanted to see Ichigo for one last time. And then she just dive bombs right into the freaking Gift Ball Deluxe, and that is the last time we see Nell, Urahara, Yoruichi, Yuushiro, or Grimmjow. Now, Nell does confirm before she jumps in. She confirms, I can see 4 Reiatsu still active inside the ball. Okay, Urahara, Yoruichi, Grimmjow, and Yuushiro. But she jumps in, and that's the last time we hear of anything from them. We don't get to see a mention of whether or not they survived, one way or the other. Not a line of dialogue, nothing. No character mentions it at all. Now, you can maybe go with the idea, well, since the characters don't mention them at all 10 years later, maybe they're all alive and well. Another way of looking at that is, well, it's been 10 years, and while they have been comrades and they were cherished loved ones throughout the entire course of the Bleach series for the most part, particularly Ichigo and Grimmjow, they had that real, there's a reason there's so much fan fiction of them out there. I mean, they really had something going on there. I mean, they say they wanted to kill each other, but I'm thinking more, yaoi type deal. Anyway, they certainly cared about them, but once again, it's 10 years. 10 years is a long time, and while they were probably, beaten down and depressed at the moment, it's not unusual for 10 years later for them to be, somewhat over their deaths, and so they're not, like, moping about it, Now, considering Kubo's track record here, like, if he had time to finish the series the way he intended, would he keep these characters alive? Of course he would have, but I don't know, because you look into these scenes, and they look pretty dramatic. Urahara passing out, and like, I leave this to you, Ichigo and Rukia. And then you have that solemn scene with Nell, being like, I really wish I could have seen Ichigo again before this. And then you're like, why else would she say that if she was maybe she was not sure she would survive this or not? I don't know. As for Yoruichi, she was passed out already from the Gift Ball's effects after she went into Thundercat mode. So she was already passed out. And Grimmjow was in his Resurrection, not much stronger. He could have gotten there, so he could have maybe, I'm going to go into Segunde Tapa and break out. I mean, I don't know. But you know what? I want to say, from what I'm looking at here, just from the information given from the actual story itself, not going on any like, well, if we consider the way Kubo did this and this, maybe we can lead to the conclusion he would do this. Not disregarding any of that meta shit, just talking about in the context of the series. I'm gonna say they're dead. And here's the thing, controversial judgment call, would you be okay with that? Now, I know the first thing you're going to say is, of course we're not okay with that. It's fucking Urahara. We don't want him to die. What the fuck is wrong with you? No. But let's think about this. Urahara, in a lot of respects, fulfills the role of, like, the master, the old, knowledgeable master character in the series. There's a lot of manga that have that. Naruto had Jiraiya. One Piece has Rayleigh. The old master. And if there's always one thing that always happens in practically every single story that has this trope, the old master is going to die at some point. It happened to Yoda. It happened to Jiraiya. Spoilers. It's probably maybe going to happen to Rayleigh in One Piece. I hope it doesn't, but it probably is going to. The character that always is really responsible for teaching the main character a lot of, integral stuff about fighting, the ones that's, guided them along the lines, eventually fights against a character that he can't get out of it. And it's usually a really badass metal fight that ends in the character's death. Which happened with Jiraiya, really badass metal fight. And I think Urahara, like I said, Askin was no pushover. He fought against one of the Zero Squad members, Nimaya. He would have killed Nimaya in a one-on-one fight, and he wasn't even at full power when he did that. Yuha had to do the holy selection to return Askin's normal power, and even before that, when Nimaya was just going on that killing spree, one-hit KO Pernida, one-hit KO Gerard, one-hit kill frickin' Lilia, and then he gets to Askin, and he didn't kill him, and then if it wasn't for Korinji getting involved and healing up Nimaya, and then if it wasn't for Yuha using his holy selection, Askin would have straight up killed Nimaya, one of the strongest Shinigami in existence. That would have happened without Korinji's help. His power itself was very unique, very OP. We saw him, he knocked out Ichigo, knocked out Grimmjow without breaking a sweat. Urahara was, in a lot of respect, Yoruichi as well, Yoruichi and Yuushiro, even after Yoruichi went into her Thundercat mode. In a lot of respects, Urahara was like the best possible option to fight against him, and it was a cool fight. Would have wished maybe we would have got to see more screen time with Urahara's Bankai, but all around, it was a pretty kick-ass fight. And Askin didn't die like a freaking pushover. It's not like, oh, I'm dead now, all of a sudden. No, it's just like, no, I'm still alive even after having my heart ripped out, and now my gift ball is going to condense and kill you all. So, sucks to be you guys. Laters. I might just be biased here because Askin was my favorite Stern Ritter, and, good job, Askin. You managed to kill Urahara. That's a lot of respect from both sides. Urahara and Urahara's intelligence managed to outmaneuver Askin and deliver a killing blow. And then Askin's just incredible powers managed to take out Urahara and Grimmjow and Yoruichi. But I don't know. What do you think about this? And here's the thing, though. Here's the thing I want you to say, though. Even if they were to survive this, I guess I would ask how. Because, I guess you could just say Neliel went into the ball and grabbed them all and jumped out, but they would still, suffer some serious damage, I would assume, from that. It was pretty intense there for a second. I don't know. But hey, you know what? Maybe I just decided to go with this death aspect because it would include Yuushiro. And I got my wish. Yuushiro died. Yeah. But, I don't know. I just feel like that... I don't want to say that gives more weight to the Bleach series just because a main character died. But I would say that I would be okay with that, because it's happened in stories before. It adds more emotion to it, in my opinion. IMO. Probably wrong, but IMO. What do you guys think about this below? Comment, like, subscribe. What do you think about this opinion here on Urahara and the others in that fight all dying together? Askin and just managed to kill all... Well, he just managed to take them all out. I don't know. Anyway, signing out. Review will be out sometime this week. Thanks for watching. Later.